Bethesda hasn't announced Fallout 5. Todd Howard is presumably still deciding which kitchen appliance deserves a Skyrim port, but while he figures that out, 2026 quietly became one of the best years for post-apocalyptic games in a long time. We've got a new Metro game and new Stalker game coming, and many other games that most Fallout fans should be excited about. I've spent an ungodly amount of hours going through everything releasing this year and narrowed it down to the 11 most worth your time. For each one, I'll say exactly what kind of player it's best for, and I'll include both the pros and cons for each game. Let's get into it. Number 1. Stalker 2 Cost of Hope. Best for Fallout fans who want more zone, more story, and more reasons to never feel safe. If you played Stalker 2 and thought, I need more of this, good news. Cost of Hope is the first major expansion for Heart of Chernobyl, and it's not a small add-on. We're talking dozens of hours of new content, 2 brand new regions, and a story that runs alongside the main campaign rather than tacked on at the end. The 2 new regions are the real headline. You're getting the Iron Forest, a maze of uncharted locations that nobody in the zone has managed to reach before, and the Chernobyl nuclear power plant itself, which has been locked off for decades and is now finally opening up. If you know anything about the Stalker universe, you know why that's a big deal. The story centers on the renewed conflict between duty and freedom, the 2 oldest factions in the zone. The fragile peace between them breaks down, and your choices will shape which way it goes. Classic Stalker. Nothing is clean, nobody is fully right, and you're going to have to live with whatever you decide. Cost of Hope is coming. Summer 2026 on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series. Pros, dozens of hours of new content, 2 massive new regions including the Chernobyl plant, non-linear story that runs alongside the main campaign. Faction choices with real consequences. Cons, requires Stalker 2 base game. If you don't like Stalker 2, this won't change your mind. Exact release date still TBC within summer 2026. Number 2. Metro 2039. Best for anyone who has ever wanted more Metro and thought Exodus needed to go darker. This one was just announced, and it immediately got a lot of attention. As it should. Metro 2039 is the 4th mainline Metro game, set after Metro Exodus, and it's going back to where it all started. Back into the tunnels, back into the Moscow Metro. The setup is grimmer than anything the series has done before. While the Spartans were out there traveling Russia in Exodus, something went wrong back home. A fascist regime called the Nova Reich has taken over the entire Metro network, led by Hunter, a Spartan of all people, who has turned the underground into a propaganda state ruled by fear. You play as a new voiced protagonist called the Stranger, a recluse who swore he'd never go back and now has no choice. What's particularly meaningful about this one is the context behind it. 4A Games is a Ukrainian studio. Russia's full-scale invasion has directly shaped how they approach this game. The themes, the cost of silence, the price of tyranny, what happens when good people do nothing, aren't abstract. They're coming from people living through exactly that. It gives Metro 2039 a weight that most post-apocalyptic games can't manufacture. Metro 2039 is coming in winter 2026 on PS5, Xbox Series, and PC. Pros, returns to claustrophobic Metro tunnels after Exodus's open world, new voiced protagonist with a fresh story, 4A Games at their creative peak with deeply personal themes, written in collaboration with Metro author Dmitry Glukovsky. Cons, winter 2026, no specific date yet. No guarantee it'll match Exodus's open world scope. If that's what you preferred, new protagonist means leaving Artyom behind permanently. Number 3. Exekiller. Best for Fallout fans who want the closest thing to a brand new Fallout game in 2026. Exekiller is set in an alternate 1998 New York, 20 years after a catastrophe called the Great Fire wiped out 70% of humanity. You're a bounty hunter navigating what's left of civilization, corporations still running things, gangs controlling the streets, and the question of who deserves to live or die sitting entirely in your hands. The Fallout DNA is right there on the surface. Retro-futuristic aesthetic, open world, non-linear missions, faction politics, moral choices that actually branch, multiple endings. This is a game that was clearly built by people who played the original Fallout games and asked, what if we made something like that but set it in a collapsed version of New York? The bounty hunting mechanic is where it gets interesting. Every target you track down can be killed, brought in alive, or set free. Each choice has consequences that ripple through the story. It's player-driven in the way modern Bethesda games haven't been since New Vegas. Pros: closest Fallout DNA of anything on this list. Non-linear missions with genuine player choice. Retro-futuristic aesthetic that feels fresh. Multiple endings based on your decisions. Cons: new studio. First major release. Expect rough edges. Semi-open world rather than fully open. Combat has been described as functional rather than exceptional. Number 4. Road to Vostok. Best 4. Fallout fans who want hardcore survival with no hand-holding whatsoever. Road to Vostok just launched in early access and it already has 180,000 copies sold in its first week. That's not a small number for a hardcore survival game made by a single developer. The word of mouth on this one has been immediate and loud. Set in a post-apocalyptic border zone between Finland and Russia, you're trying to survive long enough to cross into Vostok, a permadeath zone where one mistake ends your run completely. The game doesn't explain itself, it doesn't tell you where to go. It gives you a broken world, some basic gear, and the general direction of east. Everything else is on you. The survival systems are deep without being overwhelming. Real weapon mechanics, dynamic weather that shifts from summer to winter across a playthrough, day and night cycles that genuinely matter. And the permadeath in Vostok specifically, not the whole game, just the final zone, is a design choice that creates real tension without making the entire experience feel punishing. This one is early access and will grow over time. But what's there right now is already earning its reputation. Pros: 180,000 copies sold in first week, 85% rated as very positive on Steam. Hardcore survival with genuine permadeath tension. Made by a solo developer with 12 years of industry experience. Dynamic seasons change the game's feel over a single playthrough. Cons: early access, incomplete content. PC only at launch, no console version yet. Very unforgiving, not great for casual survival fans. Number 5. State of Decay 3. Best 4. Fallout fans who love the settlement building and community management side of things. State of Decay 3 has been in development for a long time, but something significant just happened. Alpha testing was announced for May 2026. That's the first time real players have had hands on it, which means we're getting closer. The setup is familiar if you've played the previous games. Zombie apocalypse, open world, community of survivors that you're responsible for keeping alive. What State of Decay 3 is promising to do differently is push the community and survivor relationships significantly deeper. The trailers have shown characters with real personalities, genuine grief when people die, and a world that's been rebuilding for 2 years. So you're not a fresh survivor, you're someone who has already made hard choices and is still living with them. The zombified wildlife is a new wrinkle too. A deer with half its face missing, eating a wolf in the reveal trailer, is the kind of image that sticks. The world feels more hostile and more alive simultaneously, which is exactly what this series needed. No release date confirmed yet. This is still likely late 2026 or early 2027 territory. Pros: deeper survivor relationships and community management than previous entries. Permadeath makes every loss meaningful. Zombified wildlife adds new unpredictable threats. Xbox Game Pass Day 1. Cons: no confirmed release date. Could slip to 2027. Xbox and PC only, no PS5. Heavy multiplayer focus if you prefer solo survival. Number 6. Showa American Story. Best 4. Fallout fans who want something genuinely unlike anything else. Showa American Story is set in an alternate history where Japan colonized America in the 1980s and then the apocalypse happened on top of that. You play as a 19-year-old Japanese woman navigating a post-collapse America. That's a bizarre mashup of 1980s Japanese pop culture and zombie wasteland. It is exactly as strange as it sounds, and it commits to that strangeness completely. It's an action RPG with combat, exploration, and a story that clearly knows how weird it is and leans into it rather than apologizing for it. The humor is dark. The visuals are unlike anything in the genre right now, and it has the kind of personality that most post-apocalyptic games are too cautious to attempt. Showa American Story is still coming in 2026 for PS5 and PC. Pros, completely unique visual and narrative identity. Dark humor done well. Post-apocalyptic setting with genuine personality. Strong word of mouth from preview coverage. Cons, anime-adjacent aesthetic won't land for everyone. Action-focused rather than deep RPG systems. No confirmed release date within 2026. Number 7. As One We Survive. Best for Fallout fans who loved settlement building in Fallout 4 and wished it went deeper. As One We Survive is a top-down survival game set in post-pandemic America where you're a father trying to find help for a sick daughter while managing a growing community of survivors. It's less about your individual character and more about the group. Decisions about resources, relationships, and how to handle a world that stopped caring about anyone. The colony management systems are more developed than Fallout 4's settlements ever were. You're recruiting survivors, building facilities, managing renewable resources, and making the kind of moral decisions that actually have weight. The comparison points people keep making are State of Decay for the community management and Project Zomboid for the top-down survival feel. Early access launches Q2 2026. Pros, deep colony management that goes beyond Fallout 4 settlements. Genuine story mode alongside the survival sandbox. Accessible difficulty compared to most hardcore survival games. Strong community involvement in development. Cons, early access content will be incomplete at launch. Top-down perspective won't appeal to everyone. More management sim than RPG. Individual character depth is limited. Number 8. Pioneer. Best for Stalker fans who want to share the misery with other people. Pioneer is set on a Soviet-era island after an unspecified catastrophe, and it wears its Stalker influence openly. Radiation zones, anomalies, mutants, factions, the specific Eastern European post-apocalyptic atmosphere that Stalker built its identity around. If Stalker is your benchmark for what post-apocalyptic games should feel like, Pioneer is trying very hard to be that, but with other players in the world alongside you. The multiplayer element is worth flagging directly. This is an online game. You're sharing the world with other players, which changes the dynamic from the deeply solitary Stalker experience. Some people will love that, some won't. Know which one you are before you buy. Currently, the game is in early access on PC. Pros, dense Stalker-adjacent atmosphere. Faction conflicts with real player involvement. Massive open world with genuine exploration depth. Cheaper price point as early access. Cons, online only. No single-player option. Early access means ongoing bugs and incomplete content. For some players, multiplayer ruins the solitary post-apocalyptic feel. Number 9. Nakwon. Last Paradise. Best for Fallout fans who want post-apocalyptic survival in a setting nobody has tried before. Nakwon is set in a zombified Seoul, South Korea, and that setting alone makes it worth paying attention to. Post-apocalyptic games almost always happen in America, Russia, or generic Western Europe. South Korea, with its dense urban architecture, its specific cultural identity, its particular kind of claustrophobia, is completely fresh territory for the genre. The gameplay is extraction survival with a day-night structure. You manage your shelter during the day and venture into the zombie-infested city at night to scavenge. Other players are also out there doing the same thing, which means the tension is layered. Zombies are dangerous, but other survivors are unpredictable. The gun scarcity forces you to rely on melee and stealth more than most games in this genre, which creates a slower, more deliberate pace. Still in testing with no confirmed release date yet. Pros, completely fresh setting. Seoul Zombie Apocalypse is genuinely new. Tense PvPvE gameplay with real consequence. Stealth-focused due to gun scarcity. Strong production values for a multiplayer indie. Cons, no confirmed release date. Multiplayer only. No solo option. Still in alpha testing. Full release likely late 2026 or 2027. Number 10. Death Trash. Best 4 Fallout fans who want their post-apocalypse to be very disturbing, dark, and creepy. Death Trash is a post-apocalyptic isometric RPG where the world isn't just ruined, it's biologically wrong. The landscape is covered in living, fleshy, organic matter. The creatures are wrong in ways that are hard to describe. The whole thing has a horror aesthetic that makes it feel less like Fallout and more like what would happen if a very talented developer watched Annihilation on loop for a week and then made a game. The RPG systems are solid, stealth, combat, dialogue choices, character builds that actually matter, but the tone is what makes it unique. This is post-apocalyptic dread rather than post-apocalyptic adventure, and if that's what you're looking for, nothing else on this list goes there. Death Trash has been in early access for a few years, and full release is expected in 2026. Pros: unique horror-adjacent post-apocalyptic aesthetic, genuine RPG depth with meaningful character builds, isometric format appeals to classic Fallout fans, multi-platform release planned. Cons: horror tone is not for everyone. PC only at launch. Release date within 2026. Still unconfirmed. Number 11. Beast of Reincarnation. Best 4. Fallout fans who want post-apocalyptic exploration with AAA production values. Beast of Reincarnation comes from Game Freak. Yes, they Pokemon studio, and it's about as far from Pokemon as a game can get. Set in a post-collapse Japan populated by creatures drawn from Japanese mythology and folklore, you're exploring a world that ended and trying to understand what's left. The production values are the headline. This is a proper AAA-looking game from a studio that has the budget and technology to deliver visuals that most post-apocalyptic games can't compete with. The world is dense, the creature designs are genuinely striking, and the exploration loop draws clear comparisons to Horizon Zero Dawn, which is not a bad comparison to be making. The RPG depth is the question mark. Game Freak has essentially no track record outside of Pokemon, so whether the systems have the depth that Fallout fans want is unknown. Pros: stunning AAA visual quality. Post-collapse Japan is a fresh and atmospheric setting. Strong exploration loop with genuine mystery. Major studio backing means polish and stability. Cons: Game Freak has no RPG track record outside Pokemon. RPG system depth is unknown. Release date within 2026 unconfirmed. So those are 11 post-apocalyptic games coming in 2026, worth keeping on your radar. Something for every kind of Fallout fan. Whether you want the closest thing to a new Fallout, the darkest post-apocalyptic story in years, hardcore survival that doesn't care about you, or something completely unlike anything you've played before. Which one are you most excited about? Drop it in the comments, and if I missed something worth knowing about, and given how much is coming this year, I probably did. Let me know below. Until next time,